After a young mother murders her family in her house, a detective must attempt to investigate the mysterious case, only to discover that the house is cursed by a vengeful spirit. The detective must do whatever it takes to protect herself and her family from harm. Hey creeps, my name is Scarah and welcome to my Tub of Terror. Today I'll be reviewing the movie The Grudge from 2020, and I'll do so rather quickly because these bubbles won't last forever. Let's start off by talking about what I liked about the movie. The ensemble cast was phenomenal. There wasn't a weak link in the entire chain. It was great watching all of these actors do what they do. Two notable actresses in this cast were Andrea Riseborough, who played the detective. This actress also played Mandy in the movie Mandy. Loved that movie, and I loved her performance in Mandy. And in this movie, it was a very different character, but a very powerful performance. The second actress that I really liked was Jackie Weaver, who played the suicide expert that would go to your house and assist you and explain to you basically how to kill yourself safely if you were dying of some kind of disease. In this case, it was dementia, but you might have be suffering from chronic happiness or something like that, and you want to off yourself. Call Jackie Weaver, she's your bitch. It should be noted that this movie is not a remake of the original Grudge, nor is it a part 5 necessarily. It's more of a sidequel. The stories are happening right around the same time that the first Grudge story took place. There are 4 parallel stories, and they're all infused with grief and loss. Let's start with Fiona Landers. She's a nurse in Tokyo who is from America but works in Tokyo, okay? She witnesses something terrible, dark, and disturbing in the house that she works in. So, Fiona gets on the first plane out of town and comes back to the States. However, she doesn't realize it, but she brings the curse back with her. And then you have Nina and Peter Spencer. Now, they are a married couple of real estate agents, and they are pregnant. Well, Nina's pregnant. That would be kind of a different movie altogether if Peter was pregnant. However, they discover that the unborn child might be born with a genetic disorder. We also have the Mathesons, a sweet elderly couple, and we discover that the wife is suffering from dementia and a terminal illness. And then we have Detective Muldoon, who is dealing with her own grief of losing her husband to cancer. I'd say that during the first 30 minutes of this movie, I was kind of reminded of the first True Detective series, because it's dark and bleak and there's multiple storylines going on. But it just can't sustain that same dark and bleak energy at the same time bringing you an ending that's satisfying. So it just kind of goes off the rails probably midpoint in the movie and never recovers. If you're unaware, the Grudge is a curse that arises when somebody dies in a rage. So it's kind of hokey in this movie when we find out that the curse can attach itself to anybody that enters the house. There doesn't have to be anything that really happens, it's just you walk in and you're cursed. It just, it doesn't really make sense. As far as scares go, The Grudge 2020 reheats the same scares that you saw in the original Grudge. There's the unfortunate shower taker who realizes mid-shampoo that there's an extra hand like helping rubbing his scalp, You got that guy. You have the fuzzy, out-of-focus ghosts that are lurking behind the characters that, appear and reappear when the lights flicker. And of course, it's full of jump scares. So if you've seen any of the other Grudge movies, you're not really surprised or even scared in the slightest during this one. Not even a little. I will say that I appreciate all of the grisly scenes in this movie. There was a lot of gore, and it was brought to you mostly by practical effects, especially that carrot chopping scene. But gore alone doesn't make a scary movie, so really in the end, this was just kind of boring and not scary at all. Just depressing, like hanging out with your widowed aunt at Thanksgiving. Observations from the theater. So, when the movie lights went up after the movie was finished, the girl next to me took in a deep breath and let out a heavy sigh. And then she looked at the guy next to her and said, "They slaughtered this movie. The Grudge was my favorite horror movie and they murdered it. They chopped it up into little pieces and they killed it." I almost asked her to come sit in my tub of terror and review the movie for me, because that was the perfect synopsis for how I felt about the movie. The only thing really scary about this movie was the fact that I had to stay awake through it. You know what I mean? It was just snooze alert. Anyway, I didn't ask the girl if she would get in this bathtub because I think it's illegal in 4 states and I'm not really sure about the laws here yet. So, eventually we might have another pair of legs in here, just not for this review. My final thought is that unless somebody can write and direct a new Grudge movie that not only furthers the storyline but introduces new scares and creepouts, then they probably ought to just put this series to rest. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you've seen The Grudge 2020, leave me a comment and let me know what you thought. Or you could also leave me a comment and let me know what horror movie you want me to review next. Well, creeps, it looks like I'm pretty much all out of bubbles. Thanks for watching my Tub of Terror reviews, but you really ought to be going because I want to rub the pink ducky. My name is Scarah. I'll see you in your screams.